Everything changed the moment Tom Weaver smiled after the attack, because that smile didn't look like fear. It looked like a plan. And in Marshals Season 2, one decision will tear the entire ranch apart. Kayce Dutton is no longer saving people. He is choosing who deserves to survive. The season opens right where everything collapsed. Silence hangs over East Camp, but it is not peace. It is the kind of silence that comes after war. The ground is still marked by chaos, and every face carries the weight of what just happened. Nothing feels safe anymore. Kayce stands alone at the edge of the ranch, staring into the land that once gave him purpose. But now it feels different. He is not the man who used to fix problems with patience. Something inside him has changed. Something darker, sharper. Tom Weaver's name echoes everywhere. Not spoken loudly, but whispered like poison. No one fully understands how deep his influence goes, but everyone feels it. The attack was not random. It was controlled, planned, clean. And the most disturbing part? Tom was not even there. That absence becomes louder than his presence. Inside the ranch house, tension is breaking every bond. People are questioning each other, looking twice before trusting even old friends. The sense of unity Kayce once fought for is starting to crack from the inside. Every conversation feels like it has a hidden meaning. Kayce receives new information about the attack, but nothing adds up. Every lead circles back to silence. Whoever planned this knew exactly how to erase themselves. That is what scares him the most. Meanwhile, the hospital becomes another battlefield. Injured men are brought in, but answers are not. Some survive, some don't speak, and some refuse to speak at all. Fear is spreading faster than truth. Then comes the detail that changes everything. A recovered piece of evidence from the attack site carries a mark, a signature style, something only seen in high-level private operations. Kayce recognizes it immediately. This is not local trouble. This is structured power. And it leads back to one man, Tom Weaver. But Kayce does not rush. Not this time. He is watching patterns now, not emotions. Every step forward feels like walking deeper into a trap. Because if Tom is behind this, then the ranch was never the real target. It was only the beginning. Elsewhere, Belle tries to keep control of the situation, but she is shaken. Not by fear alone, but by doubt. She starts questioning what she saw during the attack. Small details that didn't make sense at the time now begin to haunt her memory. Cal, still recovering from the ambush, is not the same either. His strength is there, but broken at the edges. He is alive, but unstable, and that makes him dangerous in ways even he doesn't understand yet. His silence is heavier than his words. And then there is Dolly. Dolly moves differently now, not openly suspicious, but observant. She watches conversations without joining them. She notices names that others ignore. And slowly, she starts connecting threads that were never meant to be connected. But what no one sees yet is that Dolly is already being watched too. Back at the ranch, Kayce makes a decision that shocks even his closest allies. He shuts down all external communication. No one leaves, no one enters without his approval. It is not protection anymore. It is control. Because Kayce Dutton has realized something terrifying. This is no longer about defending land. This is about surviving a man who is always 3 steps ahead, even when he is not in the room. And somewhere far away, Tom Weaver finally opens a file and says only one line. Let him think he's in control. The ranch no longer feels like home. It feels like a locked box. And everyone inside is slowly running out of air. Kayce's decision to seal off communication has created safety on the surface, but underneath it, something far more dangerous is growing. Paranoia? People stop speaking freely. Conversations end the moment someone walks into the room. Even footsteps in the hallway make heads turn. It is not fear of outsiders anymore. It is fear of each other. Kayce notices it immediately, but he does not reverse his decision. If anything, he tightens it. Because in his mind, weakness starts when people believe they still have freedom. And that is exactly what Tom Weaver would expect. Far away, in a place no one is watching closely enough, Tom finally steps out of the shadows. He is not rushing. He is not reacting. He is building. Every move he makes feels delayed, like it was planned long before the attack ever happened. The truth starts leaking in fragments. Financial records, old contracts, hidden partnerships that were never meant to surface. Every piece points toward something larger than ranch politics. This is infrastructure control, influence buried inside systems, and Kayce is starting to see it. Belle brings him something she almost doesn't want to show: a connection between Weaver operations and outside agencies. It is not proof yet, but it is close enough to change the direction of the entire investigation. Kayce looks at it for a long time without speaking. Then he says something no one expects. "This isn't about land anymore." That line shifts everything, because if it is not about land, then it is about people, control, positioning, replacement. Meanwhile, Cal begins to recover physically, but mentally he is slipping into something unpredictable. He replays the attack in his head over and over, trying to find the moment where everything went wrong, but instead of clarity, he finds anger. Not directed, not controlled, just raw, Belle tries to reach him, but something between them has changed. The connection is still there, but it is strained, like a rope pulled too tight. She is no longer sure if she is helping him heal or holding him back from becoming something else. And then there is Dolly. Dolly's presence around Kayce becomes more frequent, but not obvious. She doesn't push. She listens. She observes. She asks the kind of questions that don't feel important at first, until later, when they suddenly do. Kayce notices her attention to detail. It reminds him of someone trained to see patterns others miss, but he cannot decide if that is an advantage or a risk. At night, Kayce reviews footage from the attack again, frame by frame. Something catches his eye this time, a movement in the background that wasn't reported. A figure not involved in the main chaos, but positioned like they were guiding it. He pauses the screen, zooms in, and realizes something that makes his expression go still. The attack was not just executed, it was directed. And the more he studies it, the clearer it becomes. This was never meant to destroy everyone, only to test who would survive. Back in another part of the state, Tom Weaver receives a report confirming Kayce is digging deeper than expected. For the first time, Tom's calm expression shifts slightly. Not fear, interest, because now the game is no longer hidden. It is active. And Tom finally says, "Good, let him come closer." Because what Kayce doesn't realize yet is that every step he takes toward the truth is also a step deeper into Tom's design. Kayce thought he was investigating an attack, but now it looks like he is walking through a map that was drawn long before he ever arrived. East Camp is no longer just a ranch under pressure, it is becoming the center of a network he never knew existed. Every lead Kayce follows doesn't break the system, it connects it. Like every road was already built to bring him here. The more he searches, the more it feels like the attack was not an ending, but a signal. A message written in violence. Belle brings in a new discovery that changes the direction again. Hidden transfers, ghost accounts, small financial movements that, when placed together, form a pattern too precise to be random. It is not just money laundering, it is influence placement. Someone has been quietly positioning power across different sectors, building control without ever showing their face. And every line of data leads back to one recurring name buried beneath layers of intermediaries: Tom Weaver. But even Belle hesitates before saying it out loud, because saying it makes it real. Kayce does not react immediately, he just listens. Then he asks one question. "How long?" Belle answers honestly, long before any of us were looking. That silence between them says everything. This is not a new enemy. This is something that has been growing in the dark while everyone else was fighting smaller fires. Meanwhile, Cal finally returns to the field, but he is not the same man who left it. His body is healing, but his instincts are sharpened in a way that makes him unpredictable. He starts noticing gaps in security patterns that even trained eyes missed before. But what worries Belle is not his skill. It is his focus. He is no longer trying to understand the attack. He is trying to prevent the next one. And he believes there will be one. Dolly, on the other hand, begins to blur the line between outsider and insider. She is now present in discussions more often, offering insights that feel too accurate to be coincidence. She understands systems she was never trained to see, or Or, at least, that is what it looks like. But Kayce is not fully convinced of anything anymore. Trust has become a calculation, not a feeling. Then something unexpected happens. A confidential file is leaked internally, within their circle. Not outside, inside. Which means someone close is either compromised or being used. The ranch erupts into quiet suspicion. No accusations are made, but every glance carries weight. People begin rechecking conversations in their heads, wondering what they said and to whom. Kayce does not announce anything. He simply starts watching everyone more closely. And that is when he notices it. Small inconsistencies in timing. People appearing where they shouldn't. Information reaching places too fast. Not enough to accuse, but enough to doubt everything. At night, Kayce stands alone again, but this time he is not looking at land. He is looking at people. And he realizes something unsettling. The enemy does not need to attack the ranch anymore, because the ranch is already reacting exactly how it was designed to. Across the state, Tom Weaver receives confirmation that internal suspicion has started spreading inside Kayce's circle. For the first time, Tom allows himself a slight smile. Not because things are going wrong, but because they are finally going exactly as expected. And he says quietly, "Now he'll start doing my job for me." The ranch is no longer just divided by fear, it is split by suspicion. Every face now feels like a question Kayce cannot fully answer. The silence inside East Camp has turned heavier, almost aggressive, like the land itself is holding its breath before something breaks. Kayce stops giving orders the same way he used to. Instead, he listens more, watches more, speaks less, because every word now has the risk of being used somewhere else. And that is the most dangerous part. The leak has changed everything. No one knows where it came from, but everyone knows what it caused. Trust has been replaced with hesitation. Even simple tasks now feel like tests no one agreed to take. Belle tries to stabilize the situation, but she can feel it slipping. People are not working against each other openly, they are just no longer working together fully. And that is worse. Cal becomes the first one to openly challenge the growing paranoia. He believes the ranch is being mentally broken from inside out, not through force, but through suggestion. He starts pushing for aggressive counter-investigation, but his intensity begins to alarm others. Because Cal no longer reacts like someone defending a home. He reacts like someone preparing for war. Dolly's role becomes even more complicated. She is no longer just observing, she is now influencing. Subtle corrections in conversations. Quiet suggestions that redirect decisions. She never forces anything. But somehow, things move in the direction she indicates. Kayce notices it. And for the first time, he confronts her indirectly. Not with anger, with precision. "You always seem to know what comes next," he says. Dolly pauses, then replies softly, "Because I listen when others are too busy deciding." It sounds innocent, but Kayce does not accept innocence anymore without proof. Meanwhile, Andrea returns to the ranch after time away, and her presence immediately shifts the emotional balance. Her connection with Kayce is still there, but it is strained by everything that has happened. She can see he is not the same man she knew before, and Kayce knows it too. But what complicates everything further is Andrea's growing awareness of Dolly. She notices how Dolly is always near key conversations, always present at turning points, always just there, not interfering, but always influencing. The tension between Andrea and Dolly begins quietly, almost invisible to others, but Kayce feels it immediately. It creates a triangle of trust that no one openly acknowledges, but everyone unconsciously reacts to. Then something happens that fractures the ranch even deeper. A second internal breach. This time, it is not information. It is movement. Security routes are compromised. Patrol timing is exposed. Someone inside is feeding external watchers real-time updates. Kayce does not announce it immediately. He traces it first, carefully, quietly. And what he finds makes him go still. The breach is not coming from one person. It is coming from patterns, repeated behaviors, predictable trust loops, which means the system itself has been studied, not hacked, learned. And that realization hits harder than the attack itself, because it means the enemy is not reacting anymore. The enemy is anticipating. That night, Kayce gathers Belle and Cal privately. No one else. He lays out what he has found without emotion, only structure. For the first time, even Cal goes quiet, because the conclusion is unavoidable. This is not sabotage. This is conditioning. And then Kayce says something that changes everything. We are not being attacked anymore. We are being shaped. Far away, Tom Weaver reviews the latest internal changes at East Camp. He sees the rising distrust, the fractured communication, the shifting alliances. And he leans back slightly, almost satisfied, because the system is working exactly as designed. And this time, he does not need to move at all. They're ready, he says quietly. Now let's see who breaks first. Kayce no longer looks for truth, he looks for intent, because truth has stopped being reliable inside East Camp. Every discovery leads to another contradiction. Every answer opens a new question. And at some point, Kayce realizes the pattern is not confusion, it is design. Someone is not hiding information. They are controlling what information even exists. The ranch feels like it is operating under invisible pressure, as if every decision is being subtly guided toward a specific outcome. People still believe they are choosing freely, but Kayce is starting to see the shape of something else beneath it. A system, a structure built around behavior, not force. And that structure has a name. Tom Weaver. Belle brings the final piece that changes the tone of everything. A recovered communication fragment, partial, corrupted, but still readable enough to understand the intent behind it. It is not just coordination between groups, it is instruction. Not what to do, but how to react. That is when it becomes clear. Tom was never just planning attacks, he was studying responses. Cal reads it once and immediately understands what Kayce has already begun to accept. His voice is low when he speaks. He's been training us. Dolly's reaction is different. She does not deny it. She does not confirm it. She just watches Kayce longer than usual, as if waiting to see what conclusion he will reach next. Andrea, however, is done waiting. She pushes Kayce harder than ever before, demanding action instead of analysis. The tension between strategy and emotion finally breaks open. People are no longer just divided by suspicion, they are divided by urgency. Some want control, some want retaliation, and Kayce stands between both. Until the final trigger arrives, another coordinated incident, but this time it is not indirect. It is personal. A targeted strike hits close enough to the ranch to remove any remaining illusion that this is just psychological warfare. Someone wanted a message delivered clearly. No more guessing, no more analysis, only response. And that response begins to form inside Kayce in a way no one has seen before. Not hesitation, not strategy, decision. He gathers everyone for the first time without secrecy. No filtered communication, no controlled information flow, just direct truth. And what he says shifts the entire atmosphere. This ends now. But he does not explain how. Because by now, everyone already understands what that means. Kayce is no longer trying to expose Tom Weaver. He is preparing to remove him. Meanwhile, far away, Tom receives confirmation that Kayce has finally shifted from investigation to execution mindset. For the first time, Tom's expression tightens slightly. Not in fear, but recognition. Because this is the moment he was waiting for. Not when Kayce learned the truth, but when Kayce stopped caring about consequences. Tom stands up slowly, closes the file in front of him, and says calmly, "Good. Now, I get to meet the real him." Final moment. The war line is drawn. Kayce rides out alone at dawn. No backup, no announcement, no negotiation. Just direction. And the last shot of the season is not a conversation, not a warning, not a plan. It is distance closing between two men who now understand the same truth. One of them will not walk away from this. And somewhere in that silence between power and revenge, Tom Weaver finally says, "Let him come." And Kayce answers it without speaking. He already is.